Well, I love that magical introduction. I don't know about you, but something about the season, something about this month just brings out everything in me to sort of be more excited, more joyful, more positive because I stay forever hopeful. Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Kubeir, in case you didn't already know that. And where is this? I am a CICC, licensed immigration consultant. ICCRC has changed to CICC. That's our new regulatory body. So I'm a CICC immigration consultant. There's something with the C's there, which catches my tongue. Welcome to the channel. Today is the 11th of December. Another episode of our Saturday morning weekly roundup live on Canadian immigration aspects. You are on the right place. You are in the right place if you have any interest in the Canadian immigration process, because this is where we bring you everything which is rocking, which is hot, which is solid, and obviously lots of speculation, lots of news and things that are happening, things that you should be knowing about. So let's start with our today's presentation. Before we do that, just a small note there. Okay. Amit says, I'm having trouble booking a consultation session with you. Can please someone contact me? Amit, I am sorry if you're facing that issue. I'm not sure what is the problem there, but that's the email. Drop us an email and I will have somebody take a look at it. Thank you very much. That is Amit. Thank you for bringing that to my notice. I will have somebody take a look as to what exactly is going on. Right. Let's get on with the presentation now. Starting with the quote of the week: life's battle don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. You can replace the man with woman, and you can replace the he with the she. So basically, it's just a quote. So don't come out with the with the guns and swords on that one. This was by Vince Lombardi, and it's so true, right? I mean, we all think that life is so unfair, and we always try and compare ourselves with the more successful people. We compare our chapter 1 with their chapter 20 and start thinking, उसकी साड़ी मेरी साड़ी से सफेद क्यों क्यों क्यों, but nobody understands कि उसकी साड़ी धुली है, मेरी साड़ी धुली नहीं है, that kind of a thing. But right, the idea is that if you think you can win, if you're going to put in your hard work, you put in your effort, you definitely would get there at some point or time. Today's Canadian Immigration Weekly Roundup. If you are not yet following us, then those are our media platforms. Please do connect with us there. Topics of discussion today: latest PNPs, overview of the PNPs, other news, question and answer as we normally do. Provincial nominee programs, that's where we'll start with. The first one was Ontario. Again, when Ontario draw happened, and I actually didn't see it when it happened, and there was so much of frantic, because now that's what social media has all become: the Instagrams, the YouTubes, the TikToks. Everybody suddenly posting Ontario big draw, Ontario big, and I was like, did Ontario conduct a big draw? But and obviously, when everybody starts thinking of a big draw, they're always thinking of a human capital priorities draw, and that's what I thought with all those big captions. But obviously, it wasn't the human capital priorities draw. It was their employer job offer draw. So they decided to conduct this big draw. They invited 1,186 candidates, and they conducted this under the employer job offer category. And they issued out a lot of these invitations to candidates who have created their expression of interest on the Ontario portal. Mind you, only if you have an employer job offer, or if you are eligible under their employer job offer category, would you be able to create your expression of interest and therefore be eligible under this particular stream. The three streams under the employer job offer category are foreign worker, the international students, and the in-demand skills. So these are the three different streams, have different criteria, different requirements, but all of these three streams were included in this particular big draw, and 1,186 people got their invitations. Now, one question that usually comes up with this particular stream or these draws is that what if my employer is not willing to support me, because this is an employer job offer category, which basically means your employer has to support your application. They have to give you the required documents, which include giving some financial data, completing some forms in which they will have to disclose certain information, which a lot of employers are not comfortable doing. So you will have to take it up with your employer. Hopefully they will support your application. But if they are not going to support your application, unfortunately, you will not be able to proceed with this particular draw and this program. So first, make sure your employer is on board so that you can continue, because it's an expensive program to pay a fee and then find that you were not eligible. The next one, as we keep calling them the usual suspects, the British Columbia. 318 candidates were invited in the latest PNP draw. The majority of the invitations, 267, were sent through a general draw with a minimum score between 70 and 100. 51 invitations were sent out to candidates with NOC 0621, NOC 0631 with a minimum score of 103. NOC 621, NOC 631 had previously been ignored, but now they are making up for their earlier ignorance, and they're now adding those specific NOCs to conduct a specific draw for them. British Columbia has so far issued 11,000 invitations in 2021, which is pretty good, right? I mean, that's a lot of invitations. In British Columbia, as is normal, you need a job offer in most of their programs. I think the only program where you don't need a job offer is their international graduate stream, where you should have completed a program in one. I think there are 7 different fields of education. If you have completed your education in British Columbia through one of the recognized colleges, through one of those 7 streams, then you would be eligible to apply for nomination without even having a job offer. So worth taking a look if you are still deciding between where you should choose to come to study in Canada. Alberta joined the draw game and issued 100 invitations this week. Actually, so what happens with Alberta is they give out the invitations and they issue the information, or they publish the information much later. So these invitations were sent out on 24th of November, but the information came out only on the 8th of December. This was quite a small draw comparatively. Usually Alberta will invite 300, 400, 200 people, but this time it was only 100 candidates, and the minimum draw score was 350. As we normally say with Alberta, it's luck by chance. If you get invited, you get invited. It's not that they publish the exact criteria under which they are inviting. They don't publish their knock codes, so there is no way of determining what exactly was the criteria under which they invited people. So if you get invited, you are extremely lucky. Congratulations. So far, Alberta has issued 6,094 nominations this year, and their annual quota is 6,250. So they're pretty close to completing their quota, which I'm sure they can complete pretty quickly. And I think they have about 500 applications that are currently being processed for nominations. So they are definitely well above their quota requirement or limit for this year, and they would definitely get to that. So that was one of the reasons why they invited only 100 people in this particular draw. Well, what do we have in express entry? There was this big thing that was happening, right? We were expecting a draw on Wednesday. And because that is how Ircc conducts their draw, they conduct their draw after every 2 weeks. And we were expecting a draw on Wednesday. It did not happen. And suddenly there was so much of speculation. Oh, why is the draw not happening? Oh, is there a federal skilled worker draw coming? Oh, are they planning to do this? Oh, all kinds of things and stories and speculations and rumors and everything. It wouldn't stop churning, those rumor mills. Anyways, Ircc then put everything to rest by actually going ahead and conducting their notorious draw. And they did it on Friday, which was yesterday, on the 10th of December. They held their biggest PNP draw, inviting 1,032 candidates with the lowest CRS score of 698. I will talk to you about the 698 in a bit, because a lot of people start wondering, how can somebody have only 698? Because provincial nomination would give them 600 points. So does that mean the person only had a score of 98? With a score of 98, how can they even get a draw? Oh my God. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Sorry for the extra dramatic dialogue delivery there. Pathetic that was. Anyways, so Ircc has been holding these PNP draws since September. The last CEC specific draw was on the 14th of September. with a score of 462. So this makes this to be a 7th consecutive PNP specific draw in a row. And that's the way IRCC has been rolling this year. Okay, what else do we have? We have in the other news a glance of the travel rules. Well, nothing has changed there. We all know that since late last month, towards the end of the last month, they had restricted travel from 10 of African countries. That still continues. It is understood that these restrictions will remain in place until the 31st of January. This is due to the Omicron. I don't know how to pronounce this because there's so much of debate online about what is the right pronunciation of Omicron, whatever that is. So you all know what it is, that Omicron variant of the COVID mutation. And yeah, so these restrictions are still in place. Canadian citizens and permanent residents who are traveling from these countries will have to route themselves through a third country, get a COVID test done, and only then return home. Otherwise, they will not be allowed to, or they would sort of they would face more complexities when they come back to Canada. Yeah, so those situations remain. Only if you are coming from the United States and you haven't been to any other country except Canada or US within the last 14 days, you would be all right. Otherwise, you would also have to undergo an on-arrival mandatory COVID test. So that is that. What else have we got here? Right. So let's talk about this first. So I have a couple of points. Okay. So that was the end. Did I say the end? Okay, I didn't say the end. Let's say that this was the end. So that was the end of the presentation. You can connect with us on all these social media channels and platforms: Instagram, Facebook, of course, YouTube, and Twitter. By all means, join us, follow us, and keep yourself updated as and how things happen. Okay. Let's get back to this now. Let me shut this off. So as I was talking to you about the draw, right? So 698. Earlier also you have realized, you have seen a lot of draws taking place, which were in the range of 700, 732, 714, 718 kind of scores. And everybody's always wondering that if you are getting a invitation of, if you're getting 600 points from the provincial nomination, then how is it that a person who has only 98, for example, this particular draw, 698, how can somebody have only 698? So you only have 98 and that's why you got 600. Let me just remind you, on 13th of February this year, there was this big, massive, humongous, colossal draw of 27,332. I can never get the number out of my head. But that many number of invitations were issued and the lowest score was only 75. Okay, so if 75 is possible, then what's wrong with 98? That's the first thing. Not only 75, actually you can have a minimum score of something like, I don't remember exactly the number, I think 59 or 60. That is absolutely something which you can have, So because Canadian experience class does not have 67-point eligibility criteria, you only need to have 1 year of Canadian work experience within the last 3 years under the eligible NOC, so 0 A or B. So you get points for that. And you need to have IELTS. So if it is not B, even CLB 5 level IELTS will just do fine. So if you only add these points, because there is no requirement, no minimum criteria or requirement for education, and that's just about it. These two criteria, CLB 5 for your IELTS, 1 year Canadian work experience, at least NOC level B. So in the combination of two, you will realize your score could be really, really low. And if I say you are a person of the age 45 plus, means you get 0 points for age. Let's say you have a high school diploma, or let's say you do not even have an equivalency for your high school diploma, or you do not have an equivalency for whatever education. That basically means 0 points for education. And therefore, you will realize the scores could be really, really low. So 98 is absolutely possible. There are a lot of these candidates who are Canadian experience class who are in Canada. Now, how did they come to Canada? That is again a different background. So these could be people who came to Canada on a work permit. They would have got a work permit through an LMIA. These could be candidates who have come to Canada through IEC or IMP, which is International Mobility Program, International Experience Canada. That's also absolutely possible. They could have come to Canada under lots of different LMIA exempt Work permit categories, absolutely possible. These could also be spouses of international students or spouses of international foreign workers who are in Canada and who have managed to receive an employer job offer, or who have been eligible under a PNP program and were able to process their nomination. And voila, they then become, they get that score, they get the nomination, and off they go, because getting an express or creating an express entry profile is not a problem for this score level. So I hope that clarifies and that answers that doubt so many of you have as to how can somebody have only 98 and be in express entry. Well, it's absolutely possible. There is no issue with that. That's the first thing. Another thing we want to talk about was, again, because we're talking about express entry, so we will talk about this. As you can see, was the express entry round of invitations. That's the page on IRCC website. And let's use this a bit today. What have we got here? 1,032 invitations issued, and the lowest score was 698. Tiebreaker was this. Now, as we scroll down further, let me just get rid of this. Okay. Pool distribution, CRS score pool distribution as of the 6th of December. Okay, 6th of December. Now, what does that mean? First of all, 6th of December was a Monday, which basically means that they did intend to conduct a draw in the range of, probably Wednesday, probably Thursday, because they usually disclose the pool distribution 2 days or 3 days before the draw date. So, there was definitely intent there to do a draw or conduct a draw on Wednesday, but for whatever reason, it was held back. I'm assuming it had to do with some technical issues with regards to their upgrades that they're trying to do with the system. So that is one thing out. Second question that a lot of people usually have, and that is this, 757. So 601 and above had 757. So how come 1,032 people got invited? Well, the reason is because this is as of 6th of December. And from 6th of December to 10th of December, there are 4 days. So it is absolutely possible, because some of our clients who received nominations were from Ontario and from Alberta. So they all poured in within, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So yeah, absolutely possible that a lot of nominations were released or were issued by the provinces, and therefore people accepted, and hence that number jumped up. So don't be surprised with that. But the reason why I'm showing you this particular chart today, and first is to show you that the number of people here is really, really shot up. We are now at nearly 191,000 people, big number. And second thing is here, and let me use this and this number here. Okay, between 501 to 600, we now have 4,431 people. I do not know if you saw my video last night about the Pnp draw, but we discussed that there as well. But 4,431 in the range of 501 to 600. Trust me, it's a big number. It's a big number because now we are all expecting that come the next year or come early next year, we should start seeing the draws again, because the quotas will be reset, the numbers will be reset, and IRCC should get back into, doing all these draws again. So considering what would be the first draw, considering how many invitations they will issue in the first draw, this could very well be, a determining point, because 4,431, as you see here, that's a big number. Now, how many invitations will they issue? Will they issue 4,000? Will they issue 4,500? Will they issue 5,000? Historically, we have seen IRCC starts slow and then, gathers pace in terms of issuing the numbers. But there was also the internal memo that was released from IRCC, which indicated that they would have a plan or a more detailed plan on how they will go forward with the express entry and the draws and all this, all these details by the month of November. Obviously, we do not have any information on that particular plan, because it's too soon to get your hands onto it. At some point of time during next year, I think next month, once we make an ATIP notes and apply for that information, we will have a better understanding. But at this point of time, we're only assuming that IRCC has got a better understanding of their plan for next year and how they would go forward. They also indicated that they would like to sort of clear at least 50% of the economic program inventory before they would start issuing the draws. Again, Based on the data that we have been looking at, they've been clearing nearly 15,000 applications every single month. I'm seeing that the number would probably go up for the month of November and December now that more and more resources are going back to where they were in the beginning. So based on that, you would see more people getting their passport requests, more people getting their medical requests, and that number of clearances coming through. So I would expect that majority of the chunk of applications should get processed, should get through by the first, probably worst case, second quarter of next year, based on the speed that they are talking about, because they should roughly have about 100,000 applications in pending at this point of time, considering they issued 113,000 ITAs this year, and they have roughly, from the last figure I had, about 40,000 FSW applications in inventory. So if you take the total of those two and you also understand how many CEC profiles were cleared this year, you would see that they have less than 100,000 economic program applications, or rather approximately 100,000 economic program applications in pending, of which they have been clearing 15,000 on an average, which gives you that they should be able to clear out everything, most of the backlogs, at least by second quarter of next year. Worst case scenario, that is if they slow down further. But I would expect even faster than that. So going by that, I would assume that they should start conducting their draws pretty quick based on all this information, all this data. So again, coming back to this particular chart, so 491 to 500, you have 2,454. 481 to 490, you have 5,700. And 471 to 480, you have this big number of 14,251. This is what scares me, and why does it scare me? Let's get back. Okay, it scares me is because it's a big number, right? These 14,000, 5,000 kind of numbers. And keep in mind that this is a dynamic pool. The more people keep joining the pool as and how they get qualified, as they improve their IELTS scores, as they complete their Canadian education, they get their 15 points. They complete their 1 year of work experience, they get their 35 or 40 points. They're on an ICT work permit, they complete their 1 year work experience. Not only do they get Canadian work experience points, they may also be able to claim the job offer points. So there's a combination of so many things that is happening all the time. Okay. And as I said, it's a dynamic number. So people will only keep getting added to these figures as and how the things progress. And obviously, a lot of people have been waiting on the sidelines, just waiting to jump in. They don't want to sort of jump in. They're a bit worried. They said, okay, only once the draws will start, we will. So if you're one of those people, then I would say just create your profile and be in the pool, because this is Canadian immigration. Anything can happen. Remember the 13th February draw where the 75 score was drawn. So who knew, right? So that could happen. So that is what I wanted to talk to you about, the draws. And I have two more points. Bear with me. I know there's a lot of questions coming through. Please bear with me. I will get to the questions in a bit, but I have two very important points that I want to talk to you about. First one, and both of this have to do with misrepresentation and some big issues that people face. First one is, there are a lot of you who are coming to Canada as international students, okay? And you fall into these traps of these agents and all these so-called consultants who obviously are not consultants, and they don't have your best interest in their mind, but they only have their own interest in their mind because they only want to secure you an admission, hopefully get you your approval if they can, and get their commission from the college. That is their interest. But in the whole process of doing that, they will either create fake documents for you, okay? They will either disclose additional information which is not true, or they will hide, or they will not disclose critical information about your application, or they will twist or manipulate the information of your application. Sometimes you know about it, sometimes you don't know about it. One example is that they may create fake documents for your work experience which you've never had. They may disclose that kind of work experience just so that they could create your profile in line with the kind of program they have chosen for you. Or they may hide your education. So for example, you have completed a master's degree, you have a master's degree, but they tell you don't disclose your master's degree, because if you tell them that you have a master's degree, you will not get admission for the diploma program, and you hide that information. What happens is, and this is now becoming more and more obvious, that as an international student, you may get your approval, of course, right? And because the amount of scrutiny that happens at that point of time is significantly less. Okay. Once you come to Canada, then you want to file your PR application. Now, at the time of filing your PR application, you realize you need some additional points, and a master's degree can help you get those additional points. You have a master's degree, you have the equivalency of master's degree, but you are now thinking, should I disclose? Should I not disclose? Now, if you are going to disclose, now you see that this is the situation you are in. If you disclose, you would have committed or disclosed your misrepresentation that you committed in your study permit application. If you don't disclose, you are still committing misrepresentation by not disclosing very important material information. So you are in a bit of a situation. Very, very recently, there have been 3 applications which I have come across where all 3 were identified as having committed misrepresentation in their previous applications, and they were obviously banned for 5 years. Their applications were refused. So please, for God's sake, IRCC is now using artificial intelligence at a very high level. I mean, not a very high level, but at more and more levels, more and more visa offices. We will be talking about that artificial intelligence a bit later on, not today, but in another video. But if you are interested, then Google Chinook. A lot of people have been talking about it. IRCC has been using it for several years right now, and they do this to do a batch processing so that they can handle several applications at the same time. But if artificial intelligence can do batch processing for them, why can't artificial intelligence pick up these information, as in what you have disclosed, what you have not disclosed, what is the irregularity? You are using an agent. The agent is using a template format of a SOP, just replacing your name and college name and program with different. I mean, for an artificial intelligence software to pick up these kind of inconsistencies is going to be like it will work like a charm. In fractions of second, these will be identified. Mind you, a visa officer takes no more than 10 to 11 minutes to handle a study permit application, and they do not have the time to read through all your 5 or 10 pages of SOP and go through every single document. So the critical information that you provide is important, and more than that, what you need to do is provide them with the genuine information. Don't lie, don't hide. You will face problems later on, and then you will find yourself in a very, very difficult situation. So please be careful. Please be mindful. Always disclose correct information. That is extremely important. That was the first thing I want to talk to you about. And second one is also about another problem that has come forward. And now, if you are a permanent resident applicant, and you have received your AOR. So in your AOR, a lot of people don't bother to read it. All they're interested is, oh, I've received my AOR, I've submitted my application, I can breathe a sigh of relief, and now I will wait. No, read your AOR. Your AOR tells you something very, very important, and it tells you the changes you need to inform IRCC as and when they happen. First and foremost is your change in residence, in your change in your address. You need to inform IRCC. Change in family composition, extremely, extremely important. You have to inform IRCC. It is not optional. It is not like, oh, I will go to Canada and it will create a problem. Oh, I will have to give more documents. Oh, it will delay my process. Oh, I don't want to do it right now. I don't feel like doing it. Maybe I'm going to get my approval. I don't have to do it now. It is not optional. You have to disclose this information. There was one particular case which has come to light. The applicant came to Canada, arrived in Canada, his wife, and they asked him, has there been any change of family composition? He said, yeah, my baby was born last month. We have last month or 3 months, 2 months, 3 months back, and we have left the baby with my parents. And once we are here, then we will sponsor. Then the visa officer, but you did not inform us that your baby was born. I mean, you did not disclose that information. Oh, well, we thought we will once come here and then we will sponsor the baby later on. Bang, big problem. They were sent back. The visa officer was nice. He was very nice because he did not finalize their application. He simply informed them, it is in your best interest to take a flight back, return back, add the baby to your application, and then come back. Because right now, if I was to finalize the application, I would have to slap you with misrepresentation for not disclosing the child. The reason for that is, under the economic programs or under the immigration programs, you get assessed, or your family members also get assessed for inadmissibilities. And if your family member is inadmissible, then you also become inadmissible. So not disclosing a family member and not having the family member assessed for inadmissibility means you were hiding critical material information which could have affected your application. Therefore, it is on this is serious grounds for misrepresentation. So therefore, that visa officer was nice. That person was sent back. Another case which came to my attention was of a gentleman who had come to Canada a few years back. Express entry PR application came, and then after coming to Canada, he has now filed for his spousal sponsorship. The application for spousal sponsorship was refused on the grounds that he had not disclosed that he was already married at the time he became permanent resident. So again, there was another situation where the person did not think it was important, did not think it was necessary to update their marital status. He came to Canada, did not update IRCC that he was already married, became PR. After that, when he is filing for spousal sponsorship, now he cannot, because that particular family member was not assessed for inadmissibilities. Therefore, that person is considered as not being part of a family, or rather is excluded under the family class in the definition of Canadian immigration law. Now this person cannot sponsor their spouse. Okay, there is a pilot program under which you can sponsor your undeclared spouses, but that is primarily for certain categories of people: refugees, people who are fleeing from persecution, some protected people, protected persons, and some other categories. But in this particular case, if you have come to Canada under an economic program, you have not disclosed your family member, you are going to face big problems. You could also be slapped with misrepresentation, as well as you will not be able to sponsor your family members at a later date. So please do not take these things lightly. They are extremely important. If you are not going to pay attention to them, then you will face issues at a later date. That, my friends, was the things that I wanted to talk to you and bring to your attention, because that is what we do. If you are still watching, and there are 162 of you today, what I want you to do is smash the like button. Come on, smash it. Let's see those Hulk smashes going on, and the big bang like button smashes. So that the reason is because then more and more people get the access to the video, they get informed, they will then be able to use the knowledge. So you're not helping me, you're helping everybody out there. So this is your chance to do that one act of kindness: smash the like button. Okay, let's get on with the questions, because that is what a lot of you are here for, and I don't want to make you wait any longer. So we will start with that. Okay, Kazim, let me make the screen bigger because, okay. Kazim Ali says, a big PNP draw yesterday despite a huge backlog. Please shed some light on it. Well, backlogs are there and they will continue to be for some time. We've already discussed the numbers in place, but also you have to understand is that while they could put a CEC program on hold, PNPs are more difficult to put on hold, primarily because there is agreement between the provinces and the federal government, right? So the provinces have the right to choose under their individual PNP agreements. They have the right to choose the kind of people they want to nominate, with the primary founding factor that these people that they have identified would probably make that province their home. Therefore, adding to the growth of their particular province. And hence, they are with an agreement with the province, with the federal government, that they will be nominating people, and the federal government should then allow these people to be invited for a PR application, or should accept their PR applications for processing. Now, while other applications are on hold, one of the reasons is that this should continue is because the nomination certificate that people get has a validity. It has a 6 months validity. That is number one. Number two, a lot of these applicants have an ongoing job, or they are currently working, or they have a job offer, and their status must be expiring very, very soon. And hence, under the provincial agreement and the provincial requirements, provinces would want that these people can apply for their bridge open work permits, can regularize the status. Nobody wants an irregular or a person who has lost their status and stuck in the limbo in the process. So therefore, that is one of the biggest reasons why PNP draws continue, because there is a time deadline there on their applicants. You receive a nomination, you have 6 months time, right? So for example, there are people whose applications get rejected for whatever reason, then they have very little time left with their nomination to continue with their application. So if the draws were not being held, then these people who were waiting, their nominations would expire, and then the provinces would then have to figure out what is the way to do that again. For example, Alberta, you cannot get an extension, you cannot relink your nomination. It's a big problem. So these are very, very important criteria that they need to take care, and hence PNP draws continue even if there are backlogs that IRCC is dealing with. What will happen if you lose the hard copy of the work experience letter, but you have it in soft copy format? Will this have any impact? No, it has no impact at all, because at least until I have never seen IRCC asking for a hard copy of your work experience document. So soft copy is absolutely fine. The only time you might need the hard copy is, let's say, and this is one of the rare cases, you get called for an interview to the embassy, and if you get called to the embassy for an interview, they would want to see, and they have a reason to doubt certain aspects of your application, then yeah, they would be wondering why you don't have a hard copy, and you can always give them an explanation if you have to, but yeah, that's just about it. You don't really need a hard copy otherwise. Heard about the international mobility program. Is this a fast track process? As I heard, can be completed in a few months, and it has to go through the same long drawn FSW route. Can we apply to EE once we reach? Okay, Gino Babu, you've been watching too many YouTube videos. That is all I can tell you, because this is what happens. One media website makes an article, okay, and they will make an article because that's what they do, and YouTubers are picking up those articles and just making their videos verbatim without having any context. Okay, international mobility program is a much different program. It has got nothing to do with the FSW route or otherwise, and it has nothing to do with the PR route or otherwise. You will need to research international mobility program as to what it means. For example, spouses of international students, spouses of international foreign workers can apply for spouse open work permit under the international mobility program. People who are working in a big company A, the company A also has offices in different countries. These people can transfer from office in India to office in Canada under the intra-company transfer, also comes under the international mobility program. International Experience Canada, working holiday, which is only for which certain nationalities are eligible, also comes under the international mobility program. There are lots of international trade agreements that Canada has with different countries. Those nationals or citizens of those countries may be allowed to come to Canada without requiring a work permit. But this is largely a work permit program. It has nothing to do with PR directly. So you have to be aware of what you're reading before you jump the gun on something like this. So that's the reason why you should be careful of what kind of YouTube you're watching. Aditya says, tell me something about Nova Scotia. Is there get work is easy? Okay. Is it easy to get work? That's what you're asking. Nova Scotia is the more popular province within the four Atlantic provinces. Four Atlantic provinces being the Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, and Prince Edward Islands. Prince Edward Islands being the smallest. And actually, yeah, it's pretty happening among those four provinces. It's pretty happening. And I mean, I don't think you should have a problem finding a job. It's the same thing. I mean, you can go to any province and depending on your profile, depending on your background, depending on what you want to do in terms of finding work, you may find work, you may not find work. I mean, if you're too picky, too choosy about certain kind of things, then you might not find a job easily versus you being very, very open, willing to accept the kind of a job that comes. So it depends on you. But by and large, I don't think there is any issues as such. So, and I'm also not very sure exactly what are you referring to as in about Nova Scotia. But if you do a bit of research online, I'm sure you will have much more better contextual responses to that. Okay. Gino Babu, okay, we just discussed the international mobility program. Fate says, can we expect Oinp draw in December? Well, I mean, it's speculation. If I say it can happen and it happens, then I become a hero. If I say it will happen and it doesn't happen, I become a zero kind of a thing. No, I don't know, to be very honest. It can happen, it cannot happen. I would be a bit doubtful if, I mean, for example, we're already coming to the fag end of the last month of the year. And I think they're already running pretty close to their quota. I think they must have already been crossing that. So I don't expect at this point of time, but if it happens, it happens, and I'll be very happy to see that. Okay. Rohini Nishant, thank you for super chat. Unfortunately, I don't see any question there. Can we ask IRCC, CICC to improve transparency by restarting process timelines in our application? That way we can manage our expectations accordingly. On the contrary, that process timeline that you saw in your application, I am glad they removed it because it created more confusion than otherwise. IRCC had, or rather has, average indicated processing time of 6 months. So what they did was, because people kept on asking how long, they simply slapped a graphical representation of 6 months timeline on everybody's application. And that basically kept ticking along. It showed you percentage completion. It had no relevance to what was happening on the background. It was simply a ticking presentation of the timeline of 6 months from the time you have submitted your application. That is all. So if you wanted to manage your expectations, it will actually give you more panic attacks, because the minute it reaches 6 months, you will start wondering what's happening. Because nothing is happening and nothing has happened on the back end. You will start wondering, it shows my application is 100% complete, but I'm not getting my passport request. So I would rather they do not adopt that method, because that is really pathetic. I would rather they bring out something which is more realistic as to what is actually happening on somebody's application, something which actually shows what's happening, as in terms of, if certain steps have been taken, then your application should show that much percentage completed, or this is the only step left, or this has been cleared and there is no further requirement in this aspect of your application. I would like to see those kind of realistic, more meaningful updates, rather than just a graphical timeline presentation. I mean, that makes absolutely, that doesn't give you any information or understanding of this whole process at all. What is the status of 40,000 applications of international students? First of all, is it 40,000 or 400? No, 40,000. First of all, I'm not sure where you got the number of 40,000. The numbers is much larger, if at all. And the status is the same. The applications are being processed. We are seeing passport requests coming every single day. So I'm not really sure where you have got that number from and what is the relevance of that number that you are asking. Thank you for doing this every week and sharing quality information. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Any information regarding the backlog at present? Regarding the backlog, what I want to know is, as per IRCC last memo, they meant to reduce 50%. Does it mean FSW backlog or the entire 1.8 million? I actually did discuss this in detail when we were talking about it earlier. They were talking about clearing 50% of the inventory of the economic programs, not of the 1.8 million, because first of all, it's not 1.8 million applications. God, please stop it. It's not 1.8 million applications. It is 1.8 million people. Now this is again where these media websites who misunderstand, or for some reason misinterpret or give out information in a manner which confuses people. Nowhere does it say it was 1.8 million applications. It says 1.8 million people. So the number of applications could significantly be much lower. Economic program applications, as we just discussed, for express entry, I mean, there are other economic programs as well, but for express entry is somewhere in the range of about 100,000, and they are completing applications at the range at the rate of about 15,000 every month. So by that, the expectation is by the time they have cleared 50% of their economic program applications or express entry applications, they should start with the draws. Again, going with the numbers, we are definitely very positive it would start early next year. Okay. What are the chances of getting a job in Canada from India if a Francophone applies? I saw no work experience needed since Francophone are in declining. Is it possible to get a job LMIA exempt? LMIA exempts are, to get a job under LMIA exempt are only under very specific categories. You'll have to check what category do you fall under. There are several different permanent residence programs which are under the Francophone initiative. You will need to do a check on different PNP websites to see where you are eligible. But finding a job just because you're a Francophone may be a bit difficult, especially if you're from India. But yeah, it's definitely possible. Again, it all depends on what is your industry type, what is your domain, and what exactly kind of background or skill sets do you bring to the table. Also, is it possible if FSW becomes NOC based, there would be different programs for Francophone because there is a huge demand and decline number? Again, the same answer. We do not know at this point of time about the new changes, about the different programs, etc., etc. It's all speculation. I mean, we can only maybe dream about it, think about it, speculate about it. But until any such program is announced, we don't really know what kind of changes, what kind of difference it will make. As it is, if you're a Francophone, you get up to 60-70 points additional in Express Entry. As it is, if you're a Francophone, you get 10 additional points in Saskatchewan. As it is, if you're a Francophone, you have a strategic initiative program in New Brunswick. As it is, if you're a Francophone, you get additional advantage when there are programs, for example, Nova Scotia, who invites only Francophones. So there are already so many ongoing programs. So until something has been announced, it's very difficult to sort of say, okay, what will happen? Because we can just simply speculate and it may not actually happen at all. Most weighted live of every week. Thank you for boosting energy. Thank you for watching. Can you provide an estimate how much time it takes for security not started to security passed? There is no specific timeline as such. Again, it depends so much on your background. It depends so much on your profile. It depends so much on your country of travel or where all you have traveled, which countries you have traveled. Certain countries where you have traveled to could be sensitive in terms of certain security concerns. What kind of work do you do? Do you have any background to do with any government departments, any military? Are you involved in any projects or programs which have certain questionable backgrounds? Were you working with any employers which then further had connections to certain backgrounds which were questionable? There are so many variables to it. But our security background check could take from few hours to few years, as we have seen. But in most normal circumstances where, you have normal travel history, nothing too much, not to any questionable sensitive areas, you are looking at probably few days to few weeks, worst case, few weeks. In most cases, you should get cleared without that. Okay, if they wait until backlog gets clear, it will take till second quarter. I hope FSW starts early, not coincide with the near tier system, rumor tier based FSW. Well, tier system will come into play. It is being anticipated it would be by fall of next year. The tier process will, now before that happens, they have to make so many other changes. They have to change the immigration law, they have to change the IRPA, the IRPR, and so many aspects of it. It will take time. It's not going to happen immediately. I would say we are looking at sometime in 2023 before significant changes to the immigration programs will come into play in response to the new tier system. So you have a good part of the next year to sort of, be hopeful to get through before the new processes come into play. After upfront medicals, is raising a web form appropriate, or do we need to email CICC as well? No, there is no emailing process. You can use the web form and update IRCC. I created my EE profile with my current NOC 114. Will this be an issue if I switch to a different job with a different NOC? No, there is no issue whatsoever. You can change your Express Entry profile at any point of time. There is no problem. I got New Brunswick PNP. I'm LMIA-based work permit C. How long will it take to process on online portal? I am not sure what exactly are we talking about. What process are we talking about? Are you talking about work permit? Are you talking about PR application? If your NOC C means you don't have Express Entry profile, which basically means you are submitting your application, which is a paper application, but now being done online. So the process timing is still same, on an average 2 years for a non-Express Entry application. You could now expect almost 2.5 years, to be very honest. Okay, do we need to inform IRCC for any foreign travel 7 to 15 days? No, you don't need to. Mayor Joshi's, I got re-medical request. Does the request must be updated to CIC account within 30 days, or I just need to appear for medicals within 30 days? Well, if you have a re-medical request, that basically means you have form number 1017B, which already has a barcode and also has your application number reference attached to it. Once you complete your medicals, the medical center will update IRCC in reference to your form, and therefore it will get updated automatically. You don't really need to do anything, but if you want to, then you can always raise the web form and attach the medical completion information sheet. Dinesh Verma, can we show proof of funds from 2 accounts? Yes, absolutely you can. There is no problem with that. Can a high BP in spouse lead to medical inadmissibility? It's under control with medicine. Should we inform this at the time of medical test as it is normal due to medication? Well, as far as the requirement is concerned, you should disclose all medical and health conditions at the time of your medicals. I don't think BP is a big issue. And the reason for that is because it's considered to be mainly a lifestyle condition. And the medical inadmissibility happens for 3 factors: safety, security, and excessive demand threshold. This would definitely not come under the first 2, which is safety and security. It would, if it has to come under the excessive demand threshold. Canada has already increased the amount of excessive demand to now almost $22,000 per year, calculated over a 5-year period. So I don't think you would have that issue, because it's quite common, to be very honest, at this point of time. So no, I don't think you should be worried about at all. Received Saskatchewan nomination in July, document submitted in August after 90 days as per instruction given by Ircc letter, still not received AOR. Well, they have been holding back on a lot of these applications for different reasons. I think more to do with clearing of the inventory before getting to the R10 stage and then assigning the applications. Having said that, there are a lot of applications which are now seeing they're not basically being cleared off and being released. So I expect that now that you have submitted, it should start getting through. Dharmavik, could you please explain about Hold My Hand survey, which is your company offered, who is matching customer for that service? Dharmavik, under our Hold My Hand services, we give you complete guidance. So basically, you will still handle your own application, but under guidance from us. You have any questions, you will ask us. You want to get your documents reviewed, you will ask us, we will review your documents. You want to get your NOC reviewed, we will tell you. You want any formats, we will give it to you. You want to talk to a consultant because you're not clear about something, you will obviously be able to schedule that as part of the service. So Hold My Hand service, the biggest difference is that you will be doing it yourself. Okay, we will not be handling your application. You will be doing it yourself completely, entirely. But at any stage, at any point of time, you have a doubt, you're confused, you need clarification, you need verification, you will reach out to us and we will have that sorted for you. So that is the Hold My Hand service. Thank you for support in helping my parents get visitor visa. Okay, how would you know? I mean, I'm not sure what your name is, but and if my team helped you get your parents visitor visa, then there's nothing better than that. Thank you so much. You have a truly professional team. I would pass that on to my team. They would be very glad to know that their services are acknowledged and appreciated. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Is it mandatory to let IRCC know about a job change after eligibility pass? Well, depending on your condition, if you received you have to inform IRCC about your change of employment if one of the criteria for you to get your nomination or one of the criteria for you to have received your invitation has to do with your job. If it does not have to do with your job, then you don't really need to inform IRCC about it. Sarfaraz says, our biometric completed in March 21. Now my medical will be expired next month. We are in Pnp. What are your view about when can we expect COPR? Well, I mean, I don't know anything here. You say your biometrics were completed in March 21. So I'm assuming your AOR is something there. As of right now, it's taking anywhere between 12 to 14 months if you are a PNP. If you are an FSW, then the process timings are indicating 20 months. I hope it is not, but that is what the current timelines are indicating. Going forward, when you proceed forward, probably early next year, second quarter is when I would expect to see majority of the applications being processed. Umay Walid says, in which province my NOC is in demand? Well, Mr. Walid, you will need to check individual provincial websites to check where your NOC code is in demand. What do you say? Age is more important or work experience? I would say both, but as far as Canada is concerned, age is definitely more important, and it is actually important for all countries who are inviting immigrations, because the younger you are, the more average lifespan you have to give to the country by way of contribution, by way of the growth, by way of bearing children, by producing children, by by paying taxes, by contributing to the growth of the country. So yeah, definitely age for any country which is looking to invite immigration, age is always going to be more important. Work experience is something which you will gain over a period of time. And a lot of countries have more specific work experience requirements because their regulatory requirements are different, their certification requirements are different, their job market is different. So definitely for any country which invites immigration, age will always be more important. Can one apply for a super visa later after applying for a visit visa for parents? Yes, absolutely, you can. No problem with that. IRCC did not update application processing fee for my spouse added after AOR even after 4 months. Well, if you have added the processing fee as part of your application, then expect IRCC, if they have not updated, then they will reach out to you and ask you for it. So, and how do you know it was the fee was not added? I mean, how did you know that? And if you still know, I mean, I'm not sure how you knew it, but if you know it, then provide, or rather raise the web form and upload that information again. Do you see a pattern forming in way backlogs are getting cleared in terms of type of applications, visa office, or is it random? No, definitely not. I mean, when I'm saying no, I mean, nothing is random. There obviously is a method to this madness. There obviously is a process being followed. It is just that we don't know what that process is. Just because we don't know what the process is, or we haven't identified the process, it looks random. But I'm sure it's not random. It obviously has a proper methodology that is being followed. There is some sort of a big plan that is structured down and that is being looked at. So yeah, that is what is happening there at this point of time. Can a pregnant lady appear for medicals? One of the tests is X-ray test, and pregnant ladies are not supposed to take an X-ray test. Well, Dinesh, ladies who are expecting can definitely appear for medicals. From my understanding, and I'm not a health practitioner, so please don't hold me on that, but I did interview a doctor very recently who is a panel doctor for medical tests, and he indicated that that because the X-ray is of the chest and not of the abdomen, and therefore a lot of people are absolutely fine, and the doctors will tell you that it is not a threat to the baby at all by doing X-ray. But because we obviously want to be more protective, and it's absolutely fine. So the lady can go for her medicals. She will complete all her medicals except the X-ray. And once the child is born, once the baby is born, you could go back to the medical center, complete the X-ray, whereby the medicals would be completed. And in the meantime, also update IRCC about the birth of the baby, and then add the baby and complete your baby's medicals as well. So yeah, you could still complete the medicals, but the application will not be finalized until the entire application has been completed. Okay, Abhishek says, does the COR on the COPR remain same as one which was selected while filing the PR application? I moved from US to India. My COR is still being showed as USA. Okay, COR basically means country of residence. Your country of residence, you will need to inform IRCC whenever there is a change in your residence. Does that change your your PR application? Does it go faster? Does it go slower? No, that doesn't change. Whatever has been your first primary your primary visa office versus secondary visa office, it is mainly dependent on at the time when you have submitted your application, depending on your country of normal residence, country where you gathered your most amount of work experience. That is what would primarily be defining factor. And it doesn't change just because you have changed countries at a later stage of time. My wife's medical is expiring next month. We have sent passports for stamping. Can you highlight what will be the validity of one-time entry for COPR? Well, Ritesh, regardless of what will I think or say, you will come to know about it very, very soon. So what's the point of worrying or being anxious about it? In the next few days, you will get an update on your CIC account once the visa counterfoil is printed. So you will be able to see what the date is. So let's not jump and think what would be the prospective date. Nandi says, could you please shed some light on address history and travel history? I have read forums, videos, but confused me. Please advise. Thank you. I'm not sure what you want to know. You are required to provide address history for the last 10 years. You're required to provide travel history for the last 10 years. When you are traveling for, let's say I've traveled for 1 week to New York. So My address in New York does not become my address, and hence it does not go in my address history. If I have maintained a place of residence, or if I have changed my place of residence, that would require my address change. For example, I went to USA for 2 months and I stayed in the same place for 2 months. I should normally indicate that as a specific address in my address history. But if I'm been traveling, if I'm out on vacation, if I'm just on a leisure trip, even if I'm on a business trip, I went and stayed in a hotel, those do not form part of my address history. I hope that helps. How to avoid misrep if applied using cash salary experience? Well, I'm not sure what do you mean how to avoid misrep. To avoid misrep, all you need to do is not lie in your application or not provide fraudulent documents. That basically will avoid misrepresentation. Just because you have cash salary does not mean you are misrepresenting. So provide all the required documents, provide everything which is genuine, provide everything which is truthful, and you will avoid misrepresentation. Which province is better for doctors to immigrate and why? Well, all provinces are good to immigrate as far as your doctor is concerned, and there is no specific criteria, because as a doctor you cannot practice medicine in Canada unless you have obtained the necessary regulatory certifications and licensing, for which you will need to do additional education, additional examinations, tests, which will take you 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes even 6, 7 years. So yeah, come to any province and then get on with your lives and then help people, and because there's a big shortage of doctors. But yeah, there is no specific province as advantage in terms of doctors. Okay, I'm an international student studying in Winnipeg. My course is ending in December. Do you think I should make my EE profile now or wait for my degree to get complete? Well, you can make your EE profile now. Completing your degree is of no relevance. When you do complete your degree, go back and update your Express Entry profile, and that's absolutely fine. What is the exact application status if it is waiting review required by an officer under re-medical passed? As per GCMS received in September, everything has passed except security. Well, at the time, or whatever is the time, or whenever is the medical has been updated, it will go back into the queue for the applications which are being processed and being finalized. Once your application comes up in the queue, they will complete the security checks, and then once it is ready to finalize, in the next batch processing, it would be released. Okay. Raj says, have you seen online spousal sponsorships are not receiving AOR in par with paper application? Any reason for this? Yes, because there is no difference in the online application or paper application. I mean, I personally do not like the online application portal at all, because it restricts the amount of documentation I can send, because there is a file size limitation. I don't like that, because that basically means either the quality of the document is reduced, it's blurred, or I cannot provide a lot of documents which I would have otherwise provided. So I stick with paper application. As far as AORs, I mean, online application, we have not seen any difference. At this point of time, they are both the same. What is the reason? I don't know. I mean, why they are not processing that faster, I can't really tell you what exactly is the reason. I mean, no, I don't know at this point of time, to be very honest. Charles says, what class should I apply? In Canada class and family class and spousal sponsorship. I'm in Canada on postgraduate work permit, recently got married. My spouse is PR and we are planning to go to India in February. Well, if you are intending to reside in Canada, then apply for Inside Canada or in Canada spousal sponsorship. If you want to be going in and out of Canada, you do not want to be restricted, you do not need the work permit, then apply for outline sponsorship. Are police certificates checked before R10 for correctness or after R10? They are checked at R10 for, not for correctness, but they will be checked for their format. They will be checked whether they are the required PCC that should have been uploaded. So yes, that would happen at R10. Oh, Ritesh has been putting up the same question repeatedly. Rohini, I have paid for the chat. My question is, I applied for student visa twice but got rejected. Should I apply again, or should I defer the course? It's in Saskatchewan. Well, first thing what you should do is you should apply for GCMS notes. so that you can understand what is the reason why your application has been refused. And then if you wish to reapply, then reapply after addressing the concerns that the visa officer has expressed in the GCMS notes. Reapplying again without really understanding what was the reason, basically you are inviting another refusal. So if for this you need to defer your course, then by all means do, but I would definitely recommend to first understand the reason of refusal and then apply again. Thank you so much for sharing so much. You're most welcome. Thank you for watching. Nitin Kumar says, I'm in stage post PPR after landing. How much time does it usually take to sponsor my spouse, or can my fiance land on a tourist visa and we get married in Canada? Well, as of right now, to sponsor, it would take anywhere between 1 to 2 years. If your spouse has a tourist visa, you don't really have to get married in Canada. You can get married outside Canada. Your fiance has a visit visa. She can come to Canada. Once you come to Canada, you can then file for spousal sponsorship inside Canada. So there is no problem with that. Okay, same question. Hardam says, what other stages sequence after AOR? I'm PNP nominated, got status, medical passed. What probably is happening with my application? Well, your first thing that will happen is the R10 and your medical pass stage. Once you've completed the R10 stage, it would then be assigned to the visa office, whatever the visa office is, for the assessment. Once the assessment is completed and your eligibility checks are met, there would also be a process of information sharing, whereby they will share your biometric data, your details with 4 other countries: New Zealand, Australia, UK, and the United States for any background concerns. Once that has happened, your criminality is already passed, and your eligibility and assessment is cleared. They would then proceed for security. Once security checks have been confirmed and there is no identified issues, then you would be issued a passport request under the batch release in your passport process. Or whoever is your processing office. Okay. Okay. Same questions coming through again. I'm not sure why that is happening. IRCC has a huge pipeline for PR candidates, which can help them achieve their 2022 targets. Add to that the new PNP and CEC candidates from 2022. Will they need to conduct FSW draw at all? A good question. Well, yes, of course. I think they would definitely need to. Mind you, 2020, they were short of target by almost 50%. So there was a big chunk of people who never got to Canada in 2020, in the year 2020. So that is one shortfall that was not covered up, that was not filled. And in the month of February, we expect the new immigration minister, Sean Fraser, will be announcing the new immigration quotas, the new immigration targets. So that will give us a bit much better insight. He said he's open to increasing the targets even more. He's open to increasing the quotas even more. So I expect that this numbers will continue. This numbers will keep going, because you see, what you see in terms of numbers and what actually happens is totally different. A lot of people who have received their passport requests, who will get their approvals, do not arrive in the country in the same year. They probably will come to the country the following year. So all the people who are being finalized in Canada this year were part of the process for this year. People who will be processed over the next year, let's say people who are outside Canada, or people who are federal skilled workers, over the whole span of next year, they may not necessarily arrive in Canada next year. They could arrive the following year. All right, so and so forth. So these numbers are very dynamic. Okay, and IRCC is more concerned about the landed immigration targets. That is the reason why their focus was in Canada applications for the year 2021, and that's why everybody who's inside Canada, they knew they were already inside Canada, so it was very easily to stamp the numbers and say, okay, the target has been achieved. For people who are outside Canada, there are, for example, we have so many people who talk to us, right, on a day-to-day basis. They live in the United States. Under any circumstance, on any given day, if they were going to get an approval for their green card, they would take that over the Canadian PR any day. It makes sense to me, but so they are only using the Canadian PR as a backup plan. Now, at any stage they feel during their processing of, I have 2 clients who have received their passport request, but they don't want to send their passports for stamping because their green card processing is on the final stages. So they're hoping, they're waiting, they say, okay, maybe we'll be able to. They don't want to send it for passport request because they don't want to send the passports here because they might need their passports in the US. So there are so many other people, especially in the US, who may get their passport requests, who may even get their visa stamped, but they do not want to travel anytime soon. Or even if they will travel, they just make an in and out and they will go back because they want to rather stay put in the US. Actually, there's a big number of people like that. So Canada is aware. So these numbers, because they're so dynamic, I don't expect the draws would not be conducted at all. On the contrary, and I don't want to say this right now because it will just create more issues, but a lot of lawyers, a lot of political lobby are still promoting the return of TR to PR. Okay, and they are still promoting the fact that there are a lot of international students, there are a lot of international workers in Canada who I'm not sure if the word deserve is correct or not, but who basically are promoting or propagating the fact that those people also need to get a pathway. And I won't be surprised if I see not TR to PR, but some form of other programs that are introduced in Canada over 2022, which somehow promote more people who are inside Canada for a better pathway. So that is also highly a possibility going forward. When you attend these sessions with a lot of these industry experts, and you hear them talk as to what they have been picking on in terms of their discussions with IRCC, with the thought leaders, with the think tank, with the government, with the political bureaucracy. There is a lot, because you see what happens is people who are inside Canada can influence the vote bank, by their mere presence, by their connections, by their influence. They can influence the vote bank. So the politicians are more affected by people who are inside Canada versus outside Canada. So it's not like there is some sort of animosity or there is some sort of anti-outsider outland feeling. No, it's got nothing to do with that. Politicians are politicians. They're the same everywhere. I mean, just because they're wearing a suit doesn't make them any better than somebody who's wearing something else. Just because they speak in English doesn't make them any better than somebody who's not. At the end of the day, the agenda is different, right? Political agendas are always questionable because you never know what exactly they intend to do. I mean, is the thought so clear and in the betterment of people, or is it that they're just trying to appease their vote bank in order to make sure that they stay in power or they come back into the power? So those always remain a big question, and I can understand political parties or the bureaucracy trying to promote or propagate in Canada narrative and say, okay, people who are inside Canada you should have a better pathway, because it obviously influences their vote bank. But I honestly expect, I mean, I've been, call me stupid, call me silly, call me whatever you want to call me, but I was really hopeful for a draw this year, which is quite a downer, just like everybody else. Moving forward, they will need to bring the credibility of the system or the credibility of the whole immigration program back, right? At this point of time, there are so many questions. IRCC has taken a lot of beating. There's a lot of the reputation is really at this point of time. It's the credibility and the reputation is really taking a lot of beating. So if they were to completely continue ignoring FSW longer than needed, then they would come in for a more flack. And as I said, the credibility of the whole program becomes a bit of a question. People will start wondering, why do you even do all this? So the clear communication is something which I expect. And I expect that from Sean Fraser. He seems to be a guy more reasonable, seems to be at this point of time. He hasn't done anything at this point of time which would bring out any negativity. So he seems to be more reasonable. He seems to be more, somebody who would, who looks like to be the man for the job. But they say, right, actions speak louder than words. So we got to wait and watch what he delivers. And so I'm looking forward to the February quota release to see what that has. And what the new year brings in, and what it has in plan for us. And yeah, as normal, I will be talking about it and keeping you updated. Well, questions continue. I'm just going to take a last couple of them and then move on. Thank you so much. Ashima, if one got diagnosed with some medical condition after 2 months of medical done for PR and cured, should we inform IRCC or wait for remedicals? You can simply wait for remedicals. If your condition was such and you already been cured, so there is nothing specific to do. What you basically need to do is when you go for remedicals, you can inform IRCC at that point of time. Bhamna, appreciate your bringing into info on every Saturday. Really like your casual Sunday chats too. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining on Sundays. For people who do not know, every Sunday we do a non-immigration related casual coffee mornings on Instagram. So if you are not on Instagram with us, then that's what it is. You should follow us on Instagram. And we do that every Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Times, coffee mornings. We just talk about a lot of things which are non-immigration stuff. Okay. Arusha, if you have visited a country for 2 weeks for leisure, do we share the name of the hotel where you stayed? No, 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 no. You don't need to. That's absolutely fine. Just mention it in your travel history and you could. No question there. Amit says, I am New Brunswick AIPP candidate, landed in September, PR pending final review. Any suggestions? What can be done? Well, nothing much can be done. You already have a work permit, I'm assuming. So you're sorted. I mean, you can continue working, but no, you can't do anything specific. You will just have to wait. Arita says, I'm having an active accessibility profile. Will withdrawing the same before applying for the study visa improve the chances or harm? Having an express entry profile, you can't do anything about it. Even if you withdraw your profile, you cannot delete your profile. It will still remain on record. So the best is for you to inform IRCC if you want, or just put a small line in your letter of explanation stating that you did apply for, or rather you did create an express entry profile, but now the situation has changed. Now you would rather concentrate on studying. You would rather concentrate on your life and on your occupation, on your career. And after you complete your studies, you want to rather make your career a better option, or rather career your goal, rather than Canadian immigration at this point of time. You could say that in future, if that changes, you will reconsider it at that point of time, and leave it at that. That's about it. Right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. This was great. You guys are a great audience. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It was always good to see those numbers going up. That just sort of motivates me into coming back and doing more and more of these. As I said, if you are not following us on Instagram, then you should. That's the link. Join us there. Again, tomorrow morning, we have Sunday mornings, coffee mornings. So it'll be good to chat on something which is non-immigration related. If you want any information about the services that we offer, then that is the email. Drop us an email. And if you wish to book an appointment to discuss your application, your case one-on-one, then this is the link. So, you can click on this link, check on this link, and book an appointment. And as cringy as it sounds, yes, I am also on TikTok. But yeah, I am there. So if you want to follow us on TikTok, please, by all means, do. Thank you so much. Well, that's all from me. This is a beautiful, beautiful month. This is a month for, a lot of joy, a lot of hope, a lot of cheer. Next week, would it be next week? I will be coming to you live from the beautiful Christmas city of Quebec. So I'll be in Quebec City, downtown, old city. And ever since I've come to Canada, it has been I've been wanting to go there in the month of Christmas because it's so, so, so beautiful. So next week, when we'll be doing this live, I will be talking to you from the beautiful, beautiful city of Quebec, and we will share what's happening over there. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining in. Stay safe, take care, and all the best.